Hello and welcome to the semifinals of Grand Prix Washington, D.C. I'm Brian David Marshall, joined by Pro Tour Hall of Famer Ben Stark, and we are watching Alexander John leading off with a renowned Weaver against Yuuya Watanabe. Yuuya Watanabe playing in his 21st Grand Prix top 8.
Yeah, and here in the semis, I think he also has a ridiculous number of wins, maybe 5.
It's just some absurd number. And he immediately plants a Viper's Kiss on that and gets rid of it. He's like, you know what, I don't want to deal with that later.
You can't be too picky with your Viper's Kisses. It's in there to deal with a few things, but you know, it doesn't deal with all that much, all that well.
Right. Nyxborn Eidolon comes down against the blue-green deck. See some fine-looking cards in Alexander John's hand.
Yeah.
But they might require a little bit more work. Something like a Retraction Helix. Eidolon gets in for 2. And it looks like Yuuya did actually just go blue-black. Ended up not playing the green.
Yeah. Yeah, which, I mean, his deck is good. He has great black stuff. I still don't understand it. But
right. Did you get any kind of feedback from him about it?
No, I tried. I mean, great guy, great player, not a great English speaker.
Okay. So I think we're going to see Cast into Darkness here. Is that... No, maybe Away to the Underworld. Yep.
Also, to his credit, my Japanese stinks. I make it sound as though everyone should speak English. You know, I don't speak a word of Japanese, so.
So, gets in for 4 here.
Yeah, not too many decisions so far. I think that Yuuya's just run out his creatures, and you're obviously going to run out those Eidolons. Aren't going to hold them for way later, and just killed Alexander's creatures. Looks like, yeah, it looked like he was deciding what to do this turn, and it's weird because I was assuming he would just slap down that Asp. I mean, he's got, a Retraction Helix.
Hey, Cast into Darkness, that.
Yeah. Yuuya definitely accepting his role of beatdown this game since he has multiple 2-1s in play.
And still no blocks with the Disciple.
Well, right. I think that's because it's like a Fate Foretold in his hand.
Yeah, he does have a Fate Foretold.
Yeah. So.
And he also has a Retraction Helix.
Right. But I mean, clearly you want to Fate Foretold that before you chump with it. It's just a good way to get the extra card out of it.
Yuuya says, wait.
Yeah. That would be really surprising if you did anything here. I mean.
He does have a Feast of Dreams in his hand, I believe.
Yeah, I guess you can deny cards, and Feast of Dreams is pretty situational. But it's only cards, and you use the beatdown. It seems unlikely that you really want to kill an already dead creature.
Well, once again, he defies your expectations, Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they do have deck lists, right? And maybe he doesn't have many good targets,
sure.
Alexander. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm looking at the Riptide Chimera in his hand. Yuuya is not. That said, you know, when you're in the role of beatdown, you're not generally that worried about denying your opponent a card or 2. You're much more interested in being able to remove blockers and keep dealing damage.
So Grim Guardian, take 1. Chimera has to return itself. And maybe the Chimera is also part of why you, well, no, but then he would just kill the Chimera.
It would be better to kill the Chimera.
He would just kill the Chimera, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, we're looking at the Chimera. You did not see Alex's hand in this game.
Yeah.
But no, if you knew he had the Chimera, you would definitely rather just kill the Chimera, right? I mean, you're still dealing damage, and, you know, you're just letting his guy die with a Fate Foretold. It's basically build a divination, you know what I mean?
Karametra's favor. Draw a card. Now that Nesting Asp makes mana, does all sorts of stuff, and he has a great target to return with that Riptide Chimera.
Which is, I think, what he was interested in.
Yeah.
If he's going to try and stalemate this game, he wants to start drawing 2 cards a turn. That's how he'll win.
I often enjoy drawing 2 cards a turn.
Yeah, who doesn't? There have been a lot of formats where I've had to criticize a lot of members of Team Channel Fireball for trying to take and play any form of card draw way too high. Divination is like the team mascot. But right now, this format's a little sloppy. It's not that fast. It's not that aggressive. There's nothing wrong with
you can take
draw.
a turn off to go 2 cards deeper into your deck.
This is like straight Theros, maybe not, you know?
Right.
But right now, this is a time where you can draw cards.
So I think we're going to see a bestow here. Yep. So there's Nimbus Naiad on the next one. Eidolon says take a point.
Yeah, and he would be happy with this trade with the Chimera if he can get it, I assume, because that would stop the bouncing action.
Right.
I think the only decision is whether you send all 3 or just that. Well, I guess the Grim Guardian also, because it's a free attack. But I'd probably honestly send, no. Well, you put him to 5, and then you have removal or ping. This is a close call. Do you sacrifice a 2/1 here?
Right.
I think if you weren't...
Remember, people, the Nesting Nest cannot block. It's
right.
It is cast into darkness.
If you weren't particularly happy with the trade, you would send the 2/1. Because, I mean, you would sacrifice that to the 2/1 Nyxborn Eidolon to deal 5 damage. The reason you don't send it necessarily in this spot is because you are very happy with the trade, more so than even the damage, because it turns off this card drawing engine.
Right. There we see Retraction Helix comes down. Bounces the Nyxborn Eidolon. Nimbus Naiad falls off, hits the table, and Alexander John is drawing cards. Like a madman.
Yeah, and I like Yuuya's play there. I kind of forgot that the Grim Guardian could attack anyway, because it was a 3/4, so it would only be sending an additional Eidolon, kind of to die, but to deal 5 potentially. I think Yuuya definitely made the right play there.
And I think we're going to see a similar, just almost the same attack here. He's going to equip, or bestow, I should say, the Nyxborn Eidolon onto the flyer.
Yeah, that's definitely likely. I mean, he could put it on the Nyxborn Eidolon on the ground also. It would still be able to attack. I mean, that could be better because then he's left with a flyer still in play as opposed to 2 Nyxborn Eidolons in play. He would have 1 Nyxborn Eidolon with Nimbus Naiad. I think either play is reasonable here. I don't think putting on the Grim Guardian is great, although then that guy won't die. You turn him all, it's 5, and you get 1 ping when you play it. Yeah, that's not great. I think you can put the Nyxborn Eidolon on the Nyxborn Eidolon. That's probably the best play.
Take a point of damage.
Yeah. There is some upside, as you pointed out, to putting it on the Naiad, because Alex could muster a big green ground creature now.
Right.
But for the current board right now, that the Eidolon made the most sense on the Eidolon, because you'd rather be left with a Nimbus Naiad than left with a Nyxborn Eidolon.
Right. And he just he makes the safe block, goes to 5. Returns the Karametra's favor.
Yeah, Alex is seeing a lot of cards here, but not much gas.
I think most of those cards have been land, it looks like.
It looks like it might be all land.
Yeah.
Which is rather fortunate for Yuuya, because usually when your opponent's drawing 2 cards
it's a pretty
a turn,
scary, it's a pretty scary place to be. Especially when the cards in his deck are just like huge insurmountable monsters like Nessie and Asp.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Yuuya's played well, Alex has played well. I think Alex has been a little unlucky this game. One thing I'm not sure about was that Retraction Helix. Alex did have the option to Retraction Helix his Nessie and Asp, right?
Yeah.
And just replay it. And then that would have been a giant wall that would have stopped all of Yuuya's guys.
Right, right.
So I'm not sure if taking apart that 4/3 flyer that Yuuya put together with Bestow was better than Retraction Helixing your Cast into Darkness to Asp and replaying it. I wouldn't want to lose the Karametra's favor in the process, and I'm not sure how much mana he had when, but I think he could have made that happen if he wanted to. Like before he cast the Helix, he could have probably just tapped Retraction Helix the Asp, targeting the Asp, used it to bounce itself, and then maybe replayed the Asp.
Sure.
I don't know how much mana he had in each turn and whatnot, but whenever he had 6 mana, he could have probably made that happen.
I think we're gonna see another Nimbus Naiad. This is the card that Yuuya switched on.
Yeah, I mean, Nimbus Naiad's a good card. I would never fault him for switching if there was like no black, let's say, and he had to pick up Nimbus Naiad. The reason it baffled me so much is because there was Farika's Cure, a card that's maybe only a little bit worse than Nimbus Naiad.
Right, right.
And I mean, if you don't switch, you still get to use those Cryptic Insight and Eidolon Blossoms, which would have been awesome in his deck. Not necessarily better than double Nimbus Naiad, but how much worse? Because you still get the 2 cards you take over the Naiads, plus you get those 2 cards. So, I don't know. I mean, thought about it. Definitely don't agree with the switch, but you know, Yuuya's a master. I mean, you know, I definitely will think about it more.
So again, remind people, a couple weeks, Pro Tour Magic 2015. Ben will be there. He will not be doing commentary. He will be beating down.
In the trenches.
And when I say beating down, I mean beating down his teammates as he teaches them how to draft the core set.
Doing my battles on the plains of Dominaria instead of with my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, you're usually battling with your mouth no matter what, right?
I don't talk that much during games. I mean, maybe a little bit.
I mean, we just went back and read that old feature match. You know, you've always been a little chatty.
A little bit, sure, but Mike was way chattier than me.
Oh, yeah, he was absolutely. He was crazy.
Yeah.
He's an old friend of, I guess, Jerry Thompson's.
He'd say like 6 sentences, and I'd be like, whoa, I didn't respond to any of those yet. Like, what's going on here? Give me a second.
But we're going to see the biggest iteration of the standard format, just the most cards that players have had to work with throughout this year.
Yeah, which is fun.
And then, you know, Magic 2015 booster draft.
Yeah.
We're going to see, you know, you drafting core set at the highest level of competition.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love the core set. It's been one of my favorite sets every year since I started playing again. M14, probably my second favorite set in the past 5 years, only to maybe Modern Masters.
Oh, wow.
And I've even enjoyed some of the other M's, too. M13, I believe, was pretty good. M10 was fantastic.
You played all commons.
You know, a lot of times the base set, even though maybe the mechanics seem a little bit simpler, the gameplay is really good.
You got back on the Pro Tour at Grand Prix Boston, right?
I did.
Which was a core set.
I mean, I did. I was already queued for the Pro Tour, the Boston Fed. I'd won 2 PTQs kind of to get back on the Pro Tour, but that was my first good finish back.
Yeah, yeah.
That second place, which I was really proud of because I had a really bad seal deck.
Yes.
And my draft decks, all 3 were pretty good, especially in the top 8. I honestly felt like I got pretty unlucky to lose that finals. I had poor mana draws both games.
Sure.
And I had a really nice deck with a bunch of Spark Mage Apprentices and Mind Rots and Grave Diggers and all this sweet grindy stuff. And that was a sweet grindy format.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I remember that well.
Yeah, Marlon Egoff. He had a cool deck too. He had a blue-green-red with some broken rares. I mean, all 3 colors. I thought my deck matched up well against his too. I'll never forget because he had 2 of the illusion, the 3/4 flyer for 3. That if it was targeted, it dies.
Yes, and you had a million ways to target.
And I had a million Spark Mage Apprentices, and he's 3 colors, and I had multiple Mind Rots. Even had 2 Merfolk Looters. And I had like 3 Spark Mage Apprentices, 2 or 3 Mind Rots, like 3 Grave Diggers or something. I thought I was gonna win, but you know, it wasn't in the cards. I was fortunate to get to that point.
People at home, if you ever wonder. You know, you see these guys so flat when they play. If it stays with them after they lose, it does.
Look, it was only
he might remember the losses more than he remembers the wins.
It was only 5 years ago, okay? Give me a break here. It's not like it was yesterday or something. Like, I've only been thinking about it every day for the past 5 years. Luis often teases me because he's won 2 limited Grand Prix and I've only won 1.
Oh.
Yeah, and that could have been the second, but even though it would have been the first at the time. But no, Marlon played all right in our match, and you know, he had a respectable deck. But yeah, I thought I was a favorite, and that one did sting a little. I kind of thought I was going to win that.
All right, so Alexander John looking at his hand. Is he going to keep? I see a mythic rare there.
What does he got?
It looks like a Pelucranos is in his hand.
That's a Type 2 All-Star.
Yes.
That guy is a little unreal and limited. I know Yuuya has a couple ways to deal with him. We saw him take that Asphyxiate, right?
I think we did, yeah.
I remember it was a close pick between that and something, but I think he went with the Asphyxiate.
So Flitterstep Eidolon leads things off for him.
Not quite as scary as Pelucranos.
No, not even close. Yeah, Pelucranos World Eater.
It's a sick magic card, that's for sure.
So Baleful Eidolon comes down, can do really nothing.
Yeah.
About the Flitterstep.
So, will the Baleful Eidolon stop the Pelucranos, though?
Well, if they fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he fights it, then the Death Touch will kill it.
Yeah.
And then that means he can't fight it, which means it'll kind of stop it from attacking, right?
Yes.
Assuming it works like that.
I believe so. I mean, it would just die.
Right. I mean, assuming it does Death Touch in the fight.
Yeah.
Which I think it does.
Riptide Chimera. You see returns the Flitterstep Eidolon. So kind of when you're wondering, well, that card's so much better later in the game. If you have Riptide Chimera, it gets to be good early in the game and good late in the game.
And that helps because it allows him to get the Baleful Eidolon back that he could then put on the Pelucranos to get past the the Flitter Step Eidolon.
Right.
He could then put that on Polukranos potentially and get past the Baleful Eidolon. Right now, he's faced with a tough decision, because if he plays that Polukranos, the Riptide Chimera is just going to go bounce right back to his hand.
Right, right.
But it's Polukranos.
Totally worth it?
Probably worth it. I don't know what his other options are. Looking at his hand, it doesn't look like he has any other great options. I'm pretty sure I would play Polukranos rather than play Flutter Step Eidolon again or something. I mean, if he has a different 4-drop that is an enchantment, but then he's just going to have to bounce a 4-mana enchantment.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I just run the Polukranos out here. I mean, what are you really waiting for, you know?
Here it comes.
Yeah, I like that play. More often than not, people, when they sit for no reason on a card, they end up losing a game, you know, like, what are you waiting for? You really want to play another, you know, small enchantment creature that you have to bounce that maybe gets killed anyway?
The other option is it looks like he has Savage Surge in hand, so he could have played the Flitter Step Eidolon and, you know, attacked with the Riptide Chimera and then had Savage Surge to ambush.
That has
the
Blowout
Nimbus
City
Naiad.
written all over it. I mean, do you really want to Savage Surge your Chimera and then have it bounced or killed in response?
No.
Get 2 for 1?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. The only good thing would be if it was a removal that could also kill Polukranos, but there isn't much of that. Like, we saw Feast of Dreams.
Look at this.
Yeah,
Nyx Infusion on the Nimbus Naiad, making it a 4/4.
Yeah, but this is fine. I mean,
yeah.
He's got the bounce spell Retraction Helix already. Maybe he'll use it here during his upkeep before the Chimera goes back. Maybe not.
Oh, that looks like what he's thinking about right now.
It's a very reasonable play. I don't think he needs to do it, but I think it's a very reasonable play.
Yep. There's the Nessian Game Warden that we saw going around the table.
Yeah, and I mean, one reason he didn't need to do it was that he could just replay it, and he's not going to be able to attack with the Polukranos because the Baleful Eidolon's stopping it, so he can Retraction Helix the Polukranos later, so he didn't need to do it during his upkeep. But one interesting thing is, lost my train of thought. I was thinking about something. Oh, Feast of Dreams. So one of the only removal that Yuuya has that can kill Polukranos is Feast of Dreams. So he doesn't want to put Leaf Crown Dryad on Polukranos.
Right.
He's probably going to be very hesitant to do that, even though that would stop this Nimbus Naiad, because he doesn't want it to get Feast of Dreams, because, you know, amazing Mythic Rare and, you know, the best thing he has going right now. So it's going to be interesting.
But now he's also in that weird spot of having to bounce a Bestow creature.
Right. I mean, the Nyxborn Infusion will go to the graveyard.
Yes, yes.
The Nimbus Naiad, sure, I mean, you'll have to put that back in Yuuya's hand, but I don't think he's that scared of that. If Yuuya like used it to suit up the Baleful Eidolon, if the Baleful Eidolon attacked, it would no longer be stopping Polukranos. So overall, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't end up bouncing it. He may take the 4 and see what Yuuya does before bouncing it end of turn or something like that.
Can you explain to people why it's better to do that? Like sometimes, you know, well, if you're going to bounce it anyway, why would you take the 4 damage? I think that's something people don't always understand.
If you're 100% to bounce it, you probably wouldn't. But, you know, life is generally considered the least valuable resource compared to, say, board presence or, you know, card advantage. So, I mean, you generally want to see if they're going to do something better before you go ahead and use your removal. Like now, he doesn't have to wait and see because Yuuya just tapped out main phase. So now he's going to bounce it now. And that was actually really good for Alex.
Do you have a Boon Satyr too?
I don't think there's a Boon Satyr in town. There could be. I mean, he's doing a good job of protecting. It looks like he just drew that, I think it's Golden Head Ox or something, the 6-mana Ox. And he's got Savage Surge, Leaf Crown Dryad, the Riptide Chimera.
I know he sided in a fair amount of enchantment removal against Yuuya.
Oh, wow.
I saw him side in Artisan of Sorrow. I mean, Artisan Sorrow and Desecration Plague.
Oh, and there he goes, the Leaf Crown Dryad on the Polukranos.
Can you meet me at main stage, please?
I guess he's convinced that Yuuya doesn't really have removal, but I don't know. I don't know how much I like that play. I mean, it's risky, and he's still at 15. I don't know if it's necessary or not. And Yuuya didn't have it, and he just drew the Feast of Dreams.
Oh.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know how much I like that play, though. I mean, I knew you didn't even have the Feast of Dreams, but it just seems unnecessary. When you have a card as good as Polukranos, I know it's not that good right now because he's stuck on 4 lands, But you got to imagine you're going to draw land sooner or later.
Right, and again, he sided in ways to kill enchantment creatures and clear the path from
And he's
that
not under that much
Bethlehem.
pressure. He's at 15.
Yeah.
If I were him, I would have probably just Leaf Crown Dryaded up the Flitter Step Eidolon, attacked for 3, because you know that Yuuya already has the second Nimbus Naiad, so you can't leave it up to stop Nimbus Naiad. Take my hit for 4 down to 11, and then I've got this 3/3 reach guy. That guy can block, right? He's not unblockable but can't block?
I believe so, yeah.
If he can't block, ignore what I'm saying. But assuming that he can block, I would have done that, because then you have the reach guy, and you have the Savage Surge, you have the Riptide Chimera, so you can stop Yuuya's Air Assault without putting Leaf Crown Dryad on your Polychronus.
Yeah, it just can't be blocked.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like that play a lot more. I like Leaf Crown Dryad on the Flitter Step Eidolon and attack for 3.
But instead, we get Feast of Dreams and then trade Leaf Crown Dryad
Yeah.
for Nimbus Naiad and then the Brain Maggot.
Yeah, I just don't want to open the door for my Polychronus to be feasted. Because as soon as I draw one more land, I can take out the Nimbus Naiad with the Polychronus ability. I mean...
What are you taking here with the Maggot?
I don't know. They're all good cards. The,
Chimera's the only card he can cast. I mean, he can cast the Savage Surge, obviously, but...
Yeah, I mean, Savage Surge is not the best once you know they have it. I know you can probably play around it. The Game Warden's pretty good, right? I mean, if he draws a land, he just slaps that down and then gets to look at a few cards to find something else.
2 or 3 cards, depending on whether or not he draws a forest.
Yeah, my inclination is that.
You're not going to take the 6-drop.
When he's on 4.
Yeah, he's on 4 with, you know, no lands necessarily in sight. And that's what he does. Maybe. Yes.
I think that's the obvious take there. I'm not 100% if it's the right take, but it's what stands out to me as just, you know, the card you take in this situation.
Looks like a Vortex Elemental now. Vortex Elemental's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like Vortex Elemental a lot.
You can get the Game Warden back.
Right.
You know,
He needs,
shuffle that in.
What, 2 more mana, though?
Yeah.
I think Yuuya's firmly in control now. His hand looks good. I think he has Sip and Eater of Hope, along with that Nimbus Naiad.
The Sip, and that Sip, by the way, was like the 42nd card he drafted.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of pressure out, so it's still kind of interesting. With that Baleful Eidolon not stopping anything now that the Polychronus is gone, I think I like Nimbus Naiad on the Baleful Eidolon here.
And I think Yuuya does as well.
You can attack with that. If he blocks, you still have Nimbus Naiad, and you take out the 3/4 flyer. If he doesn't block, it's 3 damage, and then he has to bounce his Flitter Step Eidolon. I think I'd rather hold the Sip a little longer. Nothing really to be gained by sipping this turn.
Any consideration to the block there?
I mean, you want to block. The problem is that it doesn't actually accomplish much.
Right.
He still has. You're just turning a 3/3 flyer into a 2/2 flyer.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of nice that you don't have to bounce your guy because you're not gaining an advantage bouncing him. But the 1 point he's attacking for is also not really helping you. Alex is kind of in the position now where, you know, he needs to kind of slow down the game if he can, and you know, get that Ox in play. Possibly, you know, that Ox can provoke the Brain Maggot or something, free up the Game Warden. You know, he needs to really get things going. I'm not really sure how he's going to do that. I'm also, oh, he has the Savage Surge. I was also like, I don't know why he's provoking that, but
yeah, so he has a lot of
It's like, yep, that has to block this.
yeah.
Sorry.
Isn't it
I
1
think it's
for the shuffle and 5 for the provoke?
Yeah.
I think you are correct.
Yeah, that was weird. I thought it worked like that because I know I like that card against aggro decks because you play it on turn 1 of your controller.
Right.
Then when he's tapped the 1 and targeted, I started thinking I was wrong, you know?
All right, we have our first finalist.
Oh, cool.
Mike Sigrist
Oh, congratulations to
is through
Siggy.
to the finals.
Good for him.
Replay the Flitter Step.
Yeah. pretty sure we'll just see Eater of Hope here. There's still no reason to use Sip. Like, Sip can only get better, Eater of Hope can only get worse by waiting. Just want to get your creature in play.
In general, creatures then removal.
That's the rule. That used to be an important rule to really hold steadfast to. Nowadays, a lot of the creatures are pretty strong, so sometimes it is right to kill something before. But in a spot like this, there's nothing really screaming sip me. There's creatures you wouldn't mind sipping,
sure,
but nothing that you need to sip right now. So you put the Eater of Hope in play.
So we see the extra island now for Alex, but
if Alex wants to spend his turn killing Eater with Vortex Elemental, I think Yuuya is like happy enough with that.
I mean, he might have to.
Yeah, then he has the opportunity to untap, sip the Chimera, and attack for 4, dropping Alex all the way to 2. I believe he'll do that if he draws a land. I believe if he draws a spell, he might not do that.
And that's exactly what's happening here.
Oh, well, the Chimera actually attacked, so I don't know if Yuuya has to do that anymore. But because the Chimera's not, it's going back to Alex's hand on the next turn. I think at this point, Alex probably should have left it back. I don't think that he needs the 3 damage anymore with nothing to bounce but itself. And having gone this deep, he probably needs to make that block that he doesn't really want to block. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I didn't want to block earlier with it, and I agree that it's not great for him. But at this point, I don't know that you can really wait anymore for Riptide Chimera shenanigans.
Right,
you know?
So, down to 4. Painseer joins the table.
Yeah.
Vortex Elemental on the top.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing that Yuuya is holding Sip of Hemlock, which I think he is, unless my eyes are deceiving me, I can't really see him losing this game.
Riptide Chimera.
I mean, Alex has got to play all these creatures, including the Flutterstep Eidolon, so that he has something to bounce, like, should he so choose. And once he taps out, Yuuya's just going to, you know, be able to flash the Sip if he wants.
He has to play.
Yeah, I can't see him not playing it. I mean, the only reason would be to bluff something. But at this point, if I'm Alex, I'm not thinking about Sip. I'm thinking, well, maybe if he has absolutely nothing, what gives me the best chance at winning, you know? You can't really be trying to beat anything from Alex's position. I mean, I guess there's some merit to just having the Flutterstep Island to bestow it later, which might be what he's thinking about. Plus, there's also the Savage Surge. So maybe he's going to leave the 2 up just so that
he might just he's decided he wants the Vortex Elemental that he just drew.
Right, and then he can
shuffle anything.
Well, no, I mean maybe, but he could also just block the Vortex Elemental on the Painseer or Brain Maggot and Savage Surge it.
Sure, or he can Savage Surge it or shuffle them away.
Right.
If you wanted to save the Savage Surge maybe as a last ditch kill you card.
Right, but I'm still pretty sure you're just going to slap down
Sip.
And that's going to get the
right, that drops him to 2.
Yep.
And Yuuya Watanabe is through to the finals. He will face Mike Sigris.
Yeah, it's a good finals.
Blue-black versus blue-red.
Old school versus new school. I mean, I guess at this point, Yuuya's not really new school.
Yuuya's not new school.
But the thing is, to me, he's like a new generation of pro because he started playing after I retired.
People who played after you left,
right?
Yes.
And Siggy was, you know, playing in 2000 and 2001, so you know he's an old school pro to me.